matter. And by the way, if you doubt the total sovereignty of God over nations, two things. Read the book of Revelation, and it'll tell you what he's going to do with nations at the end. He fully controls them. And secondly, go back and read places like the book of Daniel in the Old Testament, where God, he rules over Babylon, which was a pagan culture. He uses the rod of pagan men to discipline his own children because they had disobeyed and not listened to God. He raises up a king by the name of Cyrus, who God puts in his heart to rebuild the temple. I mean, there's just so many things that God does in a sovereign way over the affairs of mankind. And so just remind us of those three things. Now, we have, I think in the Old Testament, we have three prominent examples of believers in the Old Testament as they engage their government. Government is ordained of God, and according to Romans 13, is to function for the good and order of mankind. The first, of course, has to be Moses, whom God used to establish theistic-centered government for his chosen people. And folks, we would do well. I just sat under one lecture by a godly man. He was the director of Baptist Mid-Missions, and he's retired now, but he had spent 10 years studying the way God had used Moses. And folks, I want to tell you, Moses, as far as leadership, you will not find a greater listed in all the Bible save the Lord Jesus. God used him in a remarkable way. And so Moses is this human instrument that God used to establish his rule over Israel. It was a perfect government ordained by God to govern imperfect people. God used the governance for a very specific purpose, to demonstrate that fallen man cannot keep divine law out of a rebel heart. That was the purpose of the law. That's why God gave it. It was to demonstrate that fallen man cannot keep divine law out of a rebel heart. The law, though perfect, was a reflection of God's moral character, and we had broken, and it was broken by all men.